Hello everyone, my name is Joe Regatta and welcome to the Wrestling News Hub podcast. It's really nice you guys have decided to stop by and listen to the podcast. It's a big deal for us. We just opened this whole thing. If you haven't noticed by now, we've had a Facebook page open up for a while now. It's now over 70,000 strong and growing at a fast pace. We were able to secure an interview with Klein for Ring of Honor, which I thought was fantastic. I have not had a chance to do an interview in a while, and I thought if I was going to do another one, it needed to be with someone I liked, and it needed to be with someone that would be able to deliver us a fantastic interview, and someone that would be able to, stand out with the crowd a little more, and someone that's on the rise especially. And it kind of came to where we kind of passed by a little bit here. I have been hearing a lot about Women of Honor, and I thought I'll go check it out a little bit, and I've been hearing a lot about Klein before that as well, and then of course it kind of worked out with a marriage of those two of them, and of course Ring of Honor decided to put them out full force. And I've been hearing so much about this, and all of a sudden, Klein just pops out, and you're like, this girl is the star of the division. Like, she's clearly the star. Like, there's no one else in this division that I could think is bigger. And of course, Taylor Hendricks and others are like, they're there. You know them, but it's like the only person that stands out when you're in the ring. It's like Kelly is the only one that makes sense. Like, she is the star of that group, the one that hasn't had the most chances, but been the one that's the most experienced. Like, she comes in with nearly 10 years of experience before she reaches Ring of Honor. And now she's at this major stage, and she's starting to get more and more opportunities. And I wanted this opportunity to interview her so badly, so when she allowed us to do the interview with her, I thought, oh, wow. I didn't expect her to say yes. So when she did, it was really, really cool. But I had the immense pleasure of doing so. It was actually kind of a funny situation because we almost didn't have it happen. I was having a lot of technical issues. We just bought a new mic. We just bought Adobe Audition, a great new editing software. And we thought, okay, great. Got this ready to go and everything. And if for some reason or another we couldn't seem to get the Skype thing to work, and we thought, oh no, how's it going to work out? So I managed to have another recorder work for me, so I was able to record the entire phone conversation with her. And we were able to kind of talk briefly through Skype, and it was fantastic. So I managed to have the great interview going on. So it's a little bit of a different audio than what you're hearing now, but you'll still enjoy it just the same. I'll be back to kind of tell you guys a little more about how to find us and do more with us, and just enjoy the podcast. Let us know what you think.
I have a few questions regarding some things going on when it comes to kind of your birth and your hometown. I'm pretty sure this comes up a lot for you.
Yeah, occasionally.
But, like, there's a situation where it was Cincinnati and then it was St. Louis. So can you possibly give me, like, an update of how that worked out for you? Which one was which? Which one was born and which one was called home?
I was born in Cincinnati. I did live in St. Louis for a few years. And I was actually living in St. Louis when I started training for wrestling. So at that time, I was hailing from St. Louis because that's, when I was first starting, that's where I had been living.
Now, I know since you kind of call Cincinnati more of your home nowadays, I know Ohio got a pretty big deal recently with the Cavs winning the NBA championship. I know being from Cincinnati, it wasn't as big a deal as it would be for Cleveland, but was it a bigger deal for you guys in Ohio to get a win, or is it something that you didn't really care much about?
For me personally, it wasn't. I have this thing with pro sports where because it's become more of a business than it used to be, I don't really, I guess, feel as invested with the the trading and buying of contracts and everything. It's not like years ago when your home team was really your home team and it was your hometown boys, and it wasn't somebody selling a team and moving them across the country to a different state, and it wasn't people bidding for players from around the world. So I don't really I don't really follow sports that way. I have some athletes that I like, and I definitely appreciate the Reds. I love going to live games and things like that. But I have a hard time watching sports on TV anyway because I always get antsy because I want to be playing. So I'll go to live events, and sometimes if I'm studying a specific athlete for some reason, I'll watch. So I'll watch a certain base runner or a certain hitter for things that they're doing, but I'm not so much following any team for entertainment.
Right. So, I mean, you kind of grew up playing sports in high school. Is there anything that you learned from the sports in high school that kind of prepared you for things you were doing currently?
Well, everything prepared me. For me, it was always about doing my best and pushing myself to do my best, and it wasn't about what the final score or the stats were. So there are times when I've had a win or I've had really good statistics on paper, but I maybe knew that the competition wasn't what it should have been, or that even though I did really well or I won and I, technically succeeded, I would know, how hard I pushed myself. And then there were games where my team lost, or there were situations where I didn't succeed, but I also knew that I had really done my best and I had done well. So that's something that I think really stuck with me, just as a philosophy, that no matter what, it's always about pushing yourself and finding your personal limits and exceeding those and not comparing yourself to others. I'm not satisfied with a win just because I have a W. It's about, did I succeed in pushing myself or moving forward and challenging myself?
I mean, I kind of prefer the way you're doing it there too, because you kind of feel as if, number one, you have to be out there to kind of feel the experience of it, but on that same token, you learn a lot from the sports too, so you learn that, bring it into your wrestling life. What I want to know is, how did you get involved in wrestling? Was it something you just went to a show and it was a click move, or was it just something that took time for you?
It was quick, and the reason that I went to a show was actually because I was lead singer in a local rock band, and we had an event coming up, and I was also waitressing part-time, so I let people know at work that we had this show, and one of the other waiters was actually he's now known as Eli Drake, and he said, well, I'll come see your band if you get your band to come see me wrestle. And I said, okay, what the heck, that sounds interesting. So I got my guitarist, who is a longtime friend, and then a close girlfriend of mine, and we went to this independent wrestling show, which happened to be Heartland Wrestling Association. And it wasn't halfway through the show when I was telling my two friends, I want to do this. And that goes back to what I was saying about, I don't like to sit and watch other people do things. I was sitting in the audience already thinking, okay, how do I get in that ring? There was never a moment of becoming a fan and thinking, oh, I want to come to more shows. It was straight to, okay, who do I talk to? How do I get trained? How do I do this?
So now Heartland's a very well-known independent territory. Now it wasn't quite as well-known a little number of years ago. It really kind of got on the map when people heard about it because of Dean Ambrose coming through there a few times. Was there something in that particular territory you were at that made you feel as if you could do this full-time? Or is it something that took a little time to come out of there and move around a little more before you kind of got a little more adjusted to it?
I don't think it had anything to do with any of that, really. It was just something that I loved and I developed a passion for, and I don't like to do anything halfway. So it was kind of you're in or you're out for me.
Right.
And that was just me. I think anywhere I had been, if I had, and really I spent a number of years where I wasn't kind of like in the right places at the right time, and I wasn't getting the opportunity to necessarily get in the ring as much, and sometimes it was me making poor decisions and not taking certain opportunities, but all of that impeded my progress and made it a slow journey. But it was never there was never a point where I got off the path. I always was trying to move forward, however slowly. I always and I didn't ever have my eyes set necessarily on one goal or such and such means I made it. It was just always about, I want to keep doing this, and I want to keep getting better, and I want to keep doing better. And if you trust that process and trust the journey, then you're going to achieve success, even if it's not something that you ever planned or even knew was an option. Opportunities will arise and you'll be ready for them because you were just trusting that process.
Now, too, so look at it straight. Like, you come through, you're not really big into pro sports because you want to kind of be out there, and you come to a show at a Heartland to basically kind of just be there, and you're so enamored with it, you want to be part of it. When was your debut, and what was the first match like for you?
So I'm trying to remember exactly, and there are some people that are really meticulous with dates and towns, and I'm not like that exactly. But I do remember my first match was a situation where I had just been managing while I was training. So at that point, it was just putting me in a position where I could kind of get more and more involved in the ring and get comfortable being in front of the crowd and things like that. So my first match, I think, was a 10-person intergender tag team match, and I was not told very far in advance. It was really last minute, and they were like, hey, we need you to be in this match tonight. So that was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't have time to mentally prepare myself for, okay, my debut is going to be on whatever day. It was just like, oh, okay, here we go. So it was a little, for me at the time, it felt really chaotic because I wasn't as familiar with being in the ring. So probably now, if I were to see the match and look back, I would be able to just kind of take it in more. But when you're that new, you're seeing everything that's going on and trying to take in everything, and your brain isn't processing it as smoothly. It's the same as when I play softball, where things come automatically and I can make split decisions because I have that experience. But if you're really new and inexperienced, there's all this stuff going on and you're trying to figure out what to do, and that's when you have somebody that stands there and holds the ball instead of making a play because they just freeze. And that's sort of a correlation to what that felt like at the time. But at the same time, I was in the ring, in and around the ring with a lot of other people that kind of provided that safety net. So it just, broke the seal. So it was like, okay, now, I've gotten over that milestone. And then, I kept getting opportunities to just get more and more involved from there.
Now, was this something you did kind of like when you were still in high school or outside of high school by this time?
No, I had started college. You
started college? What college did you end up going to?
I took some classes at Webster University. I was at the Leisure Dean Conservatory for Fine Arts in St. Louis.
Oh. Nice. No one really tells me much about this sort of stuff with you. I'm kind of finding out a lot of new things. Like when you go online and you try to find out things about people before you interview them, there's very few things that they tell you about when you're in independent territories. So when you find out about people, it's kind of interesting to find this stuff out about you. What I also have to ask here, too, though, is that, so basically, you're now a part of the Women of Honor thing with Ring of Honor, but you coming in had all of this experience before, but I'm seeing you work in the ring like a person that seems like a 10, 20-year veteran, and you have so many moves in the ring that I haven't really seen before. You finish people with a guillotine choke, which I believe is an incredible move no one does. Most men don't even do it these days, and you're finishing chicks off left and right with that. How did you come up with that kind of move? Was it like MMA training that got you there, or was it just something you just thought of on the fly?
Honestly, I'm trying to remember exactly when I kind of came up with that idea, that was what I wanted to do for a finisher. I think it was within the last couple of years when I was training with Les Thatcher and BJ Whitmer and Tarek Buska in the Cincinnati area. And that was, one of the things that I kind of came up with, and they helped me perfect. I have not had any formal MMA training. I grew up around amateur wrestling, and I've had just many people who have just kind of worked with me on things and showed me things and rolled around with me and kind of grappled. So there are a lot of things that are just instinctual, and then I've had people that are like, okay, well, that's what you're doing based on instinct, but let me show you how, to kind of tweak that where it's going to be more effective. So I've just, taken kind of any kind of education wherever I can get it.
I mean, it makes total sense to do that, too. My big thing with you is when I'm seeing you work in the ring with some of these girls, keep in mind, too, it seems like even though you're so experienced and you've worked all over the place, I didn't really notice you as much until you got to Ring of Honor. But what you're doing in the ring with girls that people have heard of, like Taylor Hendricks and others, you're able to work at the same level they are at, and it's surprising a lot of people. Was this something you really wanted to do? Like, you really wanted to come in and show people you were as good as everyone else in the world? Or was it something that you just came in with, like, an open mind that you didn't know how which would work out? Did you know, or was it kind of like an open idea for you?
Well, again, it was just about trusting the process. So my goal is always to get better and better. So even though, they may have been getting exposure and notoriety, I was training in a gym with, these guys around here and with Les and BJ and Tarek and having matches in front of no one and, working really hard to, just keep improving. And I just go into everything as, okay, here's the situation, and I'm going to do the best I can with every factor and every variable involved. And I'm going to control my controllables, and most of that has to do with me getting the training, getting the feedback, getting the insight and education anywhere I can. And, then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So if I go out there and I just worry about doing the best that I can do, then, I'm going to achieve whatever success and whatever opportunity is meant for me.
Makes total sense, too. The thing I want to know is, as well, you've got a different kind of look than most of the other girls out there. You are basically, 5'6", 160 pounds of pure muscle, it seems, and you're overpowering every girl that I see you work against, even girls that are really around your same size or taller than you. Was this the kind of style you wanted to have, or was it more of an idea of technical style and then just kind of meshed into power because you were bigger?
I mean, all of this is just kind of comes naturally. I've always been a lot stronger than I looked ever since I was young, and maybe part of that is more mental than anything, but I've always been strong. And anytime I've, had somebody push me or test me, I don't know that I'm necessarily stronger in some situations, but I'm mentally strong, and I sure don't give up, and I'll dig deep. So that was all just, kind of me. And then having grown up around Greco-Roman and amateur style wrestling, just a lot of the kind of holds and reversals and things like that have always just come naturally and fascinated me too. And some of the wrestlers that I've always really enjoyed and been enthralled by are not necessarily the flashy ones, but it's like Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and these guys that get really technical. And to me, I look at it as I'm always trying to solve a puzzle. So that's why I think in some instances where I may not have had formal training, I'm just figuring out where the pressure is and how do I relieve the pressure and how do I get where I need to be. So that's almost more how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the situation and I'm trying to solve the puzzle.
Now, what I want to know is, too, you're with Women of Honor, and they kind of just came up with this idea, what was it, last year? Were you getting a call right away when this happened, or was it taking a little bit of time for them to kind of get an idea of who you were?
I think that they had an idea that they were wanting to honestly, I don't know I don't know when the idea quite came to do Women of Honor, but I think they had that idea. And I attended a tryout camp, which, I mean, whether anything had come of it or not, I got like 25 hours of amazing wrestling experience and training. So, you know, to me, signing up for that was an incredible deal. And then also what came from that is I showed them what I was capable of, and they didn't like offer me a contract on the spot or anything, but they did let me know, I think within, let me see, probably 2 months, that they wanted me to be in California, Pennsylvania for an event, and introduce my character. And then after that, they said, you know, okay, we need you to be at this show in Dayton for a match. And, you know, so at that point, there was the conversation where I kind of was like, okay, well, I need new gear and need to know kind of what the idea is and everything, so that I can get everything in line for this. But I kind of had an idea that it was coming. I knew that they were really happy with me at the camp. So I was preparing for that opportunity, which is that old saying, you know, where it's preparation meeting opportunity. And that's what happened. Was I was preparing and kind of waiting for that right moment so that I could be ready to seize it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I don't know if it's you, I don't know if it's your character, I don't know if it's BJ doing this to help you out, but it seems every single time I see you in the ring, you are the only one that stands out, because the fact is, it seems like not only is your character kind of a strong, badass woman that kicks people all over the place, but it seems like you're able to connect to an audience in a heel-like way that they're not really expecting to see right away, and it seems like they're trying to push you as the star of this group in some way. Do you think that eventually there's going to be like some sort of major title that you can put around your waist at Ring of Honor that you can show off and basically be like the #1 female there? Or is there some sort of like whatever comes and comes kind of idea?
Well, I think that it would be, I would be surprised if that opportunity never showed up, because, you know, when you have a group of women like we do, at some point, you know, and already I've heard a lot of people talking about, you know, a belt and a title and saying they need that. So as we continue to establish and introduce more and more talent, you know, I can see that happening. And regardless of, you know, who, I guess, takes that mantle first, I don't know that it matters exactly, but I do feel that that is one way that you can see when somebody has, you know, just the trust of the company behind them. But I already have felt, and I've said this before, that I feel like they put a lot of faith in me, and you know, I really appreciate that. So regardless of, you know, if there's a title ever or who has it or what happens with that, you know, they've already put a lot of faith in me, and I'm just, I guess, continually trying to keep that privilege and earn the right to have that privilege. So, you know, I don't really know what'll happen, but again, it's all about doing the best with what I have and playing the best part for the company and in my role that I can, so that we as a group and as a company and as the women that are in the wrestling industry in the entire world, you know, can succeed, because everything that I do, and the same with all the other women, it reflects on the entire group. It reflects on the entire company, and it reflects on wrestling in general. So it's all a big responsibility and a big honor.
It does seem like, very much so, Ring of Honor feels as if they've got something special with you, and it feels like when you go out there and win, every single time it seems like their best idea is you for the division. I don't know what it is they have planned, but it seems like from now into the future you will be part of those major plans. But I have to know, is Ring of Honor the last stop for you? You just want to be a player here, or is there other aspirations for you, like going to Japan and being there for a while, going around the country even more so? Is it just Ring of Honor?
Well, I definitely, well, again, I mean, I want to achieve everything I can. So there's, no matter what I do, there's never a last stop for me. There's never a plateau where I'm like, okay, this is good enough. And it's not about necessarily a particular company. I give Ring of Honor a lot of credit for being the first company to put that kind of faith in me that they have. So, and I've been very happy with how they've treated me, and I really like the people. I like the philosophy there. So that's not something where I've said this to some people too before, and I think I've probably posted about it, but there are different ways to measure success, and it's different for everybody, and it's okay that it's different for everybody because everyone has to figure out what's important to them. So for me right now, I'm able to live where I want, and I'm able to do other things that I want to do. One of those is that I'm able to coach high school softball, and that's not something that I would necessarily be able to do with other schedules. So there are just different things where each person has to prioritize what's important to them. Is it important to be working with a group of people that is like a family? And for me, that's definitely a big thing. Is the schedule important, and is your location where you have to live important? And it's just different for everyone. So I'm just always going to be working on doing the best I can, performing the best I can, and then whatever kind of comes my way, I would have to just weigh and balance all of those factors and figure out what's going to be best for me.
No, I mean, I don't know what you have with Ring of Honor. I don't know if you're an exclusive to them when you can also do independent stuff too on the side, or you have some sort of other contract, but would an exclusive thing happen to you where you basically wanted to be somewhere else in the future where they had to lock you up into a long-term deal where this schedule may not be there? Is that some kind of option for you?
Can you repeat that? I didn't really catch all that.
What I said was, I don't know what your Ring of Honor schedule is. I don't know how they position you, if you're exclusive to them or not, but you mentioned having this schedule of coaching high school softball and things like that. Will there ever be a time when another company wants to pick you up potentially, and they'll want to put you under a long-term deal that's more exclusive, that you're going to have more schedule time on? Can you do something like that, or would you want to just stay in the kind of schedule that's more free like you're in now?
I can't really answer that until the time comes, because everything in my life could be different at any time. So that's really, really impossible for me to answer.
Sorry about the impossible.
Like I said, I would weigh every factor, and if I felt like it was something that was worth accepting that for whatever length of time, then I would just have to make that decision and weigh all of the options and have all of that information to make that kind of move.
Backpedaling a little bit here, I know Women of Honor is becoming a little more popular and people are starting to catch on about how great the women are there. I know the Ring of Honor has a deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Is there a girl over across the world over there that you may want to face one day in Women of Honor or somewhere else? Is there someone in your sights that you really want to get in the ring with?
Honestly, I do not currently have one person that I have in my sights, because at the moment my main goal of going to Japan has to do with just getting that experience and training. So it's not a situation right now where it's like, okay, I've got my eye on you and I want to come take you down. Right now it's about getting better, and maybe through that experience then I would maybe come up with somebody. But right now it really is whoever gets in the ring with me, I need to do better than they do, and I always need to do better than I did last time.
So basically every single match is like a proving ground match for you, basically. You're not going out there to have the same match you had last time. You're trying to basically say you're better than the previous person we just saw.
Absolutely.
Sounds good to me. I mean, most people don't really think about doing that. Most people just think, okay, well, I'm just going to go out and perform and just do a good job. Most people don't think, I need to top what I did last time. And eventually, I mean, that's going to make it to where you won't be able to be taught from anyone. So is that...
I mean, I have to do better every time, or else, to me, it's like, what's the point? Why would I go do what I can already do?
Makes sense, too. Now, I have to ask you briefly a little bit about BJ. I know he's worked with you a bit at Ring of Honor. How did that idea come together with you two to be together? Was it something where the sense of connections kind of came together, or it just sort of happened?
I don't know. I was told, come out and you're introduced and he's going to introduce you. I really don't know the answer to why that decision was made.
But it just seems like he's been with you a couple times, and it feels really interesting that there's a partnership of some sort there, but at the same time you go in the ring never needing his help at all, and you just beat people up. Is there some sort of like almost like a managerial thing going on with him in some way sometimes? Because he's either on the table talking about you, or he's introducing you, or something along those lines. There's always a connection there somehow.
Well, I mean, if you've watched him in the past, it's almost like he kind of, he has an eye for talent. He builds his army with people that he thinks are going to be successful, and it's not about picking out. I don't think he would pick out someone who he thought needed his help to be associated with. He wants to be associated with people who make an impact and show that they are the best, and kind of strike fear. So it's natural that I would be somebody that he would want to be associated with.
Yeah, I mean, your style of wrestling is almost similar to, it's not exactly the same, but almost like a Brock Lesnar female sort of idea, where you're going out there and almost using an MMA style ideology with your style in the ring. Is it kind of like an idea for you to think that you might need to add something else to your repertoire each time you go out there, or is there just an idea that you're trying to connect with a certain audience there?
No, I'm trying to win.
Right.
So I am doing what feels the most comfortable and natural to me, and what I feel like I can do the best with. I am always outside of the ring trying to add to my training and add to my arsenal. So that's why I've taken up boxing, because that's another layer, and that gives me access to other techniques and other skills that I can use in the ring. So for me, it's never about really trying to portray or project anything. It's about, I want to win. What are the things that are going to be the most effective from me, and that's what I'm going to use. Now, I will consider my opponent and think about what they bring to the table and what skills of mine are going to best either stop or counteract what they have. So, that's going to be something that I would consider. But it's all going to always come down to what can I be most effective with.
I mean, what I'm seeing in the ring is very interesting, too, because it seems far more realistic than I've assumed with a lot of women on the independent scene. Most of the time you run into girls who seemingly don't know what they're doing. And the Women of Honor, especially you and Taylor and others, it seems to be definitely like you all know what you're doing in the ring each time you go out there. I know with your particular style of wrestling, it seems as if you definitely know how to exactly do what you mentioned, counteract a lot of the ideas they have going into it. Whether it's a fatal four-way, a tag team, a singles match, you're always finding a way to do things right. I know I have to let you go pretty soon, so you have to get back to, got to do boxing and things like that. But, I got to ask real quick, how can people find you on social media?
Well, it's fairly easy now. I've been able to, I don't know, Facebook's always changing their rules, so I've finally been able to update my name on there. So you can actually go to facebook.com/Kelly Klein, WOH, so that's Kelly, and then Klein is spelled KLEIN, WOH. And then there is a fan page as well which I think I just changed that to wrestler Kelly Klein on Facebook, and then my Twitter is Kelly Klein WOH. So it makes it all pretty easy to find me at any of those places. At my on my Facebook fan page, you can like that, and then my other Facebook, you can follow it, but it is I don't think it's accepting any requests, any friend requests, I've been told recently. And then, of course, anyone can follow me on Twitter and kind of keep an eye out on there.
Now, I don't know if you're accepting bookings or not, but if you are, how can they find you for that?
I would say email me on Facebook is usually where I'm going to see it. I get so many emails through my email server that it's insane, and it's really, I get too many. So right now, I found it's easier if somebody can send me a booking inquiry via Facebook message, then I've been getting those more easily than emails.
Seems a lot easier to think that way too, because mostly everything's on that place anyway. You might as well just go there, right?
Yeah, and then I can, see who's talking to me and all that.
I like that more too. Most people don't think about that. Like, that's a good idea. I have to say, though,
yeah. I have a lot of method to my madness. There's, some other secrets to that too that I won't divulge.
Oh,
but,
you can. They're secrets,
yeah.
right?
But it works for me, and I like being able to do it that way.
I mean, it's actually, to me, the better idea in the first place. But I know I have to let you go now. You got to get back to things you have to do. I thank you so much for talking to me today. Now we know Kelly a little bit better. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What did I tell you guys? I told you it'd be a good interview, and I do not disappoint, do I? Kelly was fantastic to talk to. It was really nice to have her around. I thought the coolest thing about it was that she was very open to talking with me in a bigger way. Most people who talk with us typically are a little bit different with how they like to say things or do things or what have you, so my first inclination when I spoke with her was that she wouldn't want to answer some certain kind of questions I might ask, but she was very open to talking about anything, so it wasn't like one of those types of times where they have someone saying, oh, you can't do this, can't do that. She was very nice enough, too. She actually was, I think, cooking at the time we had spoke, so she was having to do all that, and before we spoke about a lot of stuff, she was very much into the idea of not wanting to make too much noise, so it was kind of funny how it worked out. But I'm glad that we had a chance to discuss things with her, so it was pretty awesome. But yeah, if you want to book her, or if you want to talk with her, or things like that, she's very easy to find. Just go to her Facebook page, like she mentioned. You can't miss her. Make sure that you follow us at the Wrestling News Hub as well on Facebook. It's very simple to find us, facebook.com/Wrestling News Hub. You shouldn't have a problem finding us at all. So please join us there, and join our now various amount of likes. We're getting more and more every single day due to great fans around the world. So please join us there. I will see you guys then. Thanks for listening to the interview.